Alright, hello everyone. Welcome. It's either too early or too late, but that's fine, that's dandy, because you know what? StarCraft happens at all hours of the night, and we got a banger for you, or I guess I got a banger for you. This evening, this morning, you know, maybe for someone it's actually a decent time of night, time of day, but that's not me, and that's not what's happening right now. We have Cloudy, as a member, let me turn notifications off, that's something that's important. There we go. Actually a member of the XY fan club, but currently playing for Triumph Song Gaming, even though their StarCraft 2 division is dead. And we have XY, also a fan of himself, but playing for Invictus Gaming. So, without further ado, without too much more ballyhooing and jibber-jabbering and all these other words for saying inane things that mean nothing, well, we have a game, we have a lobby, our players are loaded into it. So let's introduce you all to game number 1, shall we? Alrighty then, here we go. Spawning in the bottom left. In the blue for Triumphant Song Gaming, it's Cloudy. And in the upper left, in the red for Invictus Gaming, it's XY. I believe his name is potentially pronounced Shy. I've seen some people say that. I'm not actually sure. So, we're going to see where we go from there. If anyone actually knows how his name is pronounced, please let me know. That's implying that anyone who's watching at 2 in the morning. Well, who knows? It's only 11 p.m. in Arizona on the West Coast. So I guess it's not that bad. It's only bad for us crazy people on the East Coast. But enough bellyaching about things I voluntarily get myself into for the enjoyment of people around the world, hopefully. We have a game that's starting, and again, there's actually not a whole lot to talk about. Although, actually, as I say that, we do have a Proxy Void Ray on the way. So, not much to talk about, he says. Proxy Void Ray, well, in this stage of the meta right now, it really isn't all that much to talk about. To be totally honest, if you caught the best of 9 I did between Innovation and Parting last week sometime on the Alpha X channel, while we I got the chance to interview Parting afterwards. Specifically, and I asked about this build in particular because I believe he did it 4 times to Innovation in the best of 9. And his response was pretty much, look, if you don't catch the probe here before this first shield battery goes down, you're not holding it. Straight up, it's too broken against a Terran who is expanding, which is the meta right now, and that is what XY is doing here in this game number 1. Now, XY, though, not doing just an expand. Look, he has a proxy factor on the way, and I would not be surprised to see a starport as well, as this is kind of the location where you'll see either, you can see proxy BO9 drops, of course, that's a thing. You can also see proxy Hellion or Hellion drops, like we saw TY use actually to great effect against Parting, but that was before the Void Ray buff. Before the point where Void Rays just kind of became this thing that was impossible to handle, and actually XY has no idea that this is a thing yet. And sure, the Adept's going to go high ground, and will probably lose its life, but the trick is here, the Adept isn't even really trying to survive or get a bunch of STV damage. What it's trying to do is it's trying to kill as many Marines as possible. Which, of course, makes this first Void Ray that's now moving across into the main base all of that more powerful, as we do see a couple more shield batteries on the way. And this bunker will get up, so there will be 4 Marines there. But, of course, the way you do this is, first of all, you kill both supply depots. First of all, that allows your Adepts to get in. Actually, the Adept's going to get in regardless. And second, of course, you kill the add-ons. You try to make it just so the Terran cannot produce anywhere near as much as he would like to produce. So the add-ons, they allow for free circulation between the main and the natural. It's called that thought. As we do have XY engaging, he says, you know what? Your shield battery is not up yet, and the shield battery is going to complete just barely in time. And I think this now it seems like XY has sold out just too much in this game number 1, as he has no army and he's producing 1 Marine at a time. There we have it. GG. Cloudy takes game number 1. And Parting, proving to be a modern-day Nostradamus here. As he goes and he says, yes, this is unholdable if the Terran does anything normal. And actually, this was worse than the normal Terran hold here, because XY, sure, it was nice he was going to go for a Hellion drop, and that had potential to kill a bunch of SCVs. No question. The factory and the starport were not on the Terran side of the map, which meant that there was no way for the Terran to build the Cyclones and to build the Vikings and these type of things that actually allow the Terran to hold this game. So once we saw the Terran go and commit with the SCVs, with the Marines, because 6 Marines can kill a Void Ray. Alright, that's not the question. However, they cannot kill a Void Ray when there is no... when there's a shield battery there, and the shield battery really finished just in time. That was a game of inches. Shield battery was down, I think, 30 HP, and the shield battery completed. Which made things all that much more fun and interesting. I should also take the moment to point out that this tournament is not sponsored by Exxon. You can see their logo on the left. I personally am, as of Sunday. So that's some exciting news. I'm going to be casting more of their stuff in the coming days. Actually, I will be casting the Exxon Cup, which is a weekly cup that gets pretty much all the Exxon players and some other players as well. And that's going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. It will also be on this channel, if anyone's watching. And that'll be at a more reasonable time to watch. But for the moment, our players are loaded into game number 2, and that's far more exciting than, or far more important at this moment in time than any sort of thing I'll be doing later on today. So let's get into it, shall we? And here we are, spawning in the upper left. In the blue, down 1 game in this best of 9, it's XY. And in the bottom right, in the red, it's Cloudy. And I really appreciate how the Triumphant Song logo matches the coloring almost perfectly of my player intro banner that I use, which is a minor thing, to be sure. Absolutely a minor thing, and it's not something I could ever expect from team logos whatsoever. But when it happens, it makes me happy. And here we do see Cloudy once again going for proxy void rays. You can tell this, of course, because he takes his two gases before his cyber core, and generally the proxy void ray build doesn't even get a warp gate for the most part. If it gets enough momentum and it still progresses, you'll see players eventually kind of start getting that warp gate down. But all gas, of course, goes into cranking those void rays out as fast as possible, getting that Stargate out as fast as possible to make sure that, well, to make sure the void rays hit as fast as possible. And if I've said as fast as possible enough times in this cast already, well, I'm sorry. But it is an important thing to note that this build, one of the things that makes it so damn strong is it hits real fast. It really hits before the Terran has too much of a potential to really get too much going here. And once again, we don't see the Terran scouting. Now, of course, this time the factory will be built in the main base of XY. And this may just be the situation where he says, hey, you know what? I think I know what you're going to do. I know this build is kind of broken, so I'm just going to blind counter it regardless. And okay, there we do. We do see the Reaper going down to the low ground. The Reaper will catch the probe, which is big. It means only 1 shield battery will exist in this game, but it also pulls the Reaper away from any attempts at killing this pylon. Although now with it coming back, it's going to target down the shield battery over the pylon, hoping that maybe it can kill that off. I believe it should have enough DPS before the Void Ray comes out. And we do have a second probe now on the way, but this probe is actually taking a roundabout route. It looks like it's going to want to put a shield battery on the natural. But with these four SCV pulls and the second Reaper on the way, well, or the second Reaper here, I should say, there will be no shield battery. And this attack is so much less powerful without shield batteries to defend it. So now we do have the Reaper's going to go down, but the Reaper's going to trade his life for an adept. And I can't feel like XY feels too bad about this. So we do have one Hellion out already, but that was not what he wanted. Really, there we have it, the tech lab on the way here. Actually, you know what's interesting? With this Hellion out here, it means the probe's not going to get anything done. Which of course means that this SCV is going to be, or this Void Ray is just going to be far less effective. And sure, the Marines are going to go out one by one, and there's really not a whole lot of Marines here. Actually, this is what we need to have on the map at the moment. So the Void Ray is going to target this bunker down. The bunker really should not get up. Okay, yeah, the SCV is getting targeted down. The bunker will not complete, but this is giving time for Cyclones to go down, and that's the important thing. Because there is absolutely zero anti-air in this game, as we do see the Reaper and the Hellion trying to get whatever they can get done. Adept's going to get back, but the Reaper and Hellion have already gotten 2 probes, and that's pretty good damage here. Now the Void Rays are in the main base, and with the Viking and the Cyclone almost over, the Cyclone's not going to get microed, and now this once again is looking pretty good for our red Protoss. Now the harass on the other side of the map that has been completed, although gas is not mining quite as much, and the Void and the Viking will be able to kill the Void Ray before the Void Ray dies, simply because repairs are a thing. But what this of course means is XY doesn't have any money whatsoever, and maybe that's going to be something. But the Void Ray's on the way. There's just no army on the map here for Cloudy. There's nothing he can really do to get in here, and I could say, hey, yeah, he needs to maybe move into the mid game, but that's not really a viable option. To be totally honest, I mean, he's down in workers. He's only on one base. He's lacking attack, but he's gonna go for it anyways. And this looks so he's gonna go for Twilight. And I'm curious. There are a couple ways he could go here. One is, well, my opponent's only on one base. I don't necessarily see an eBay, but there's eBay now. I was gonna say my opponent's only on one base. I'm gonna go Dark Templar, but this build almost necessitates a multiple missile turrets actually. Which means that going for Dark Templar here is not the best move, and there we do have it. We do have Cloudy going for Blink behind this, and we're going to see a one base Blink build, say that 5 times fast, which is, I don't really know how I feel about that, to be totally honest, but it is 3-gate Blink. So, it's one of those things where it may just be enough, 3-gate Blink with 1 Void Ray. And considering it is just a Void or just a Viking Cyclone here on the map. Marines being built one by one, and they're sure there are a couple bunkers. It's not the worst thing. Actually, he's going to be able to blink in from a weird angle and just bypass this bunker in its entirety. Due to the high ground vision of the... Well, okay, high ground vision of the Adept as well. And, of course, due to the magic of Chrono Boost, Blink will be done far sooner than Magfield Accelerator will be. So now we do have the Cyclones that are going to try to target things down. Void Ray needs to get pulled back, and it does so. And now XY, he's supply blocked once again, and down in army supply. Not significantly, but enough to make a difference. And with Blink being done in the next 45 seconds, there's definitely an opportunity for him to get something done. Now, I don't know whether this is enough to end the game, but it's something. So now the Void Ray once again going to get targeted down, but will not die. And now we do see pylons being built in once again. So it looks like Cloudy wants to go and start building shield batteries on top of this. I wouldn't even be surprised to see him start building cannons, which, okay, I mean, I would be. Let's be real here. That does not sound like the best move. But now we do have the Adept that's going to shade in once again, and it's going to enable the Blink onto the high ground. So now the Stalkers with Blink done, they're now going to Blink on top of the high ground and get a target down the Viking immediately. I try to get on top of these Cyclones as well, but they're not doing so. And with the missile turret untargeted as well, the Void Ray is going to go down, but now we do have the Cyclones finally getting taken out. The tank is not quite on the way, not quite there yet. So this last Cyclone is going to go down as well. And with Stalkers just blinking across around the back, the middle line, they're just dancing around here. And there's just not enough from XY to really hold it, doesn't feel like. So now with the tank siege, maybe there's something, but the tank is going to be mostly out of range here. The Stalkers are going to blink on top of it, but don't have enough for one volley, but they will get it in 2. And now the Marines that are left are maybe enough to do something here, but the Marines are not enough. Although now they're going to go back into the bunker, and more and more and more SCVs going down. 15 SCVs to the 23 of Cloudy, now with the economic advantage here. This feels like something that Cloudy can get something done. Now he's going to blink on top of the tank. And Cloudy, well, it looks like he's in a really, feels like he's in an incredibly commanding here in position here in this game number 2. There's just not a lot of economy for XY. There we have it, GG. Cloudy taking game number 2 and finding himself up 2-0 in this best of 5. Now, walking into this, I don't know a ton about the Chinese scene. Unfortunately, due to time zones and due to it being on a different server, it's just rather difficult to follow that as a East Coast US StarCraft fan. So if you had told me, hey, if you'd asked me, hey, who's going to win this? Who has the advantage in this best of 9? I would say, oh yeah, XY. I've heard of him. I've seen him play. He seems to do well in EPT Cups. I believe he does well in DreamHack Summer or in the DreamHack Masters tournaments. Like, he does a good job. He's a name I'm aware of. He has a whole fan base that have sponsored this tournament. Shout out to XY fans, by the way. This show match does have a nice prize pool. It's about $100 with 75 or 70 going to the winner, 30 to the loser, I believe. Fully sponsored by the XY fans. The XY has his own fan club in China, and they're doing good work here, sponsoring this. But anyway, so they have a fan club. In fact, Cloudy is part of the XY fan club, at least the StarCraft clan. And now we see Cloudy just really taking it to the man in this game. Doing what he just pile driving XY into the ground, even when he does things that you would when he adapts and when he does the things that you would think would be something that adapt, maybe not counter, but at the very least allow him to adapt and maybe deal with better this pressure that has been coming from Cloudy in the last 2 games. But even then, staying on one base, going Cyclones immediately, getting that missile turret, it's still hard to, even getting the shield batteries, which is the most important thing of that hold, of that push, he still was not able to do enough to bring it back. But now it's game number 3 all loaded up, and now we'll see whether he can finally make the adjustments he needs to finally take a game in this best of 9. So our players are loaded in, and let's get into it. All right, then here we go. Spotting the bottom left. In the blue, up 2 games in this best of 9 already, it's Cloudy. And in the upper right, in the red, falling 2 straight games to Void Ray Cheese, it's XY. Now, I don't even know whether I should call game number 2 falling to Void Ray All-Ins, because, yes, it was a proxy Void Ray. That happened. Undoubtedly, that was how that game opened. But he actually did a great job of holding the Void Ray. The thing he didn't do a great job of was holding the transition. Right? He kept building Cyclones and Vikings as if he was a continuous dedication to Void Rays. And with his dearth of scouting across the map, he really committed his Reaper and his Hellion to getting probe kills above all else, he was not able to see that, yeah, XY, or Cloudy, threw down 2 more gateways and moved into a blink stalker pressure off of 1 base. And that dearth of tanks, that dearth of bunkers in the proper positions, well, that's kind of what that ended the game here in game number 2. And now, for the first time in this series, we see Cloudy not going for the proxy Void Ray all-in. And that's interesting, of course, because this is yet another map that's actually really good for that. There's a decent amount of space here for the Stargate, and there's actually a lot of dead airspace, or a lot of airspace that you can move around that allows you to maybe get something done. But of course, Cloudy says, you know what? Or there's the old saying, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, or shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. And XY is at that shame on me stage, but fool me 3 times, right? That's not going to happen. So Cloudy says, you know what? I've beaten him twice with this build. I think I've gotten 2 cheap wins. I don't think I can kill him a 3rd time in a row with the same build without showing him something else. Because these are pro players. They're incredibly good at adapting. All right, that's what they do. So, with that being said, we have Cloudy going for a natural. Just going for your nice, cheap and easy Cyber Core expand here as he goes. And he looks to maybe go into a bit more of a mid-game. But as I say that, we do have a Twilight Council on the way rather quickly. And this to me, well, okay, so again, this is 2 things. I think this, I think this is just a really fast Dark Templar build. And in exchange, XY says, you know what, hey, look, you, in fact, built your natural, you've fallen into my trap card, I'm going to proxy a starport. But the interesting thing is there's no proxy factory here. Right, generally when you see the proxy starport build, you do see a proxy factory on top of it, which means that there's a slim opportunity here. Just the slimmest of margins, that this is not going to be some sort of drop, this is not going to be maybe a Banshee or Liberator, but this, from the positioning, there's the opportunity here that this is in fact going to be a proxy battlecruiser, which is something I've seen. But no, with the multiple Hellions on the way, it looks like the Hellions are just going to be built in the main base, and there's a medevac that's going to be built across the map, and it's just going to be a proxy Hellion drop, as it were. Coming here from Cloudy. Now, this is also not going to be Dark Templar. Instead, we just have your nice, standard, fancy 3-gate blink opener that parting showed to such effect in the GSL Season 2. Now, what we've seen from a lot of Protoss players now is, okay, when parting really first started killing with this build, he says, you know what, it's got 3 gates, I'm going to get a War Prism, I'm going to go try to kill my opponent with it, even though I'm not going to be too all in because, of course, it's only 3 gates, it's not 4. Now hold that thought for a second. We do have the medevac with 4 Hellions going in for XY here. And of course 3 Hellions are the magic number, but 4 Hellions just give you a nice little buffer. And now with the probes pulled, they're not really pulled all the while. We're going to start to see probes die by the dozen, by the 100 here, as the Hellions are really only going to get 3 workers and going to be forced to pick up. I really would have liked to see XY run into the main. With that, as all the Stalkers, they did not have Blink done, and they were really not more warped into the proper position to prevent the boost off into the main base. But XY just says he's just going to be conservative and save these on for a later date. Now, I don't exactly know what that plan is, of course, as Hellions are not a good unit in TVP unless you're Daishi from 5 years ago, where you get just a bunch of blue flame Hellions and somehow kill Colossi with them. But that meta is gone. It is done. It is dusted. And we are in a more standard PvT meta where we see lots of tanks and we see some bio and see all of these things. And I don't exactly know where these Hellions are going to find some use in that latter game, but it looks like XY says, you know what? I'm going to send them home, I'm going to repair them, and I'm going to move across the map, and I'm going to try to get some damage done once again. Because sure, you may have Blink now, but you're not going to be expecting it. Because, of course, one of the things that pro players are really good at is they say, look, I know the timings of builds. I know that around 4 minutes, I'm vulnerable to, or 4:30, I'm vulnerable to a Widowmine drop. I know at I don't know, 5:30, battle cruisers could potentially come in. Potentially different timings. And I'm not saying these timings are perfect, but anyway, you get that point. And now there's the potential that says, hey, look, I got something weird. If I'm going to play off the timings here in this game, I'm going to say, you know what, I did something early, but really I'm going to push it back a little. Maybe I can get something more done than I got done at the normal timing because my player just knew that was the timing. But, of course, Cloudy on top of things, Stalkers everywhere, says, you know what, look, I see you wanted to get something done. You really didn't get a whole lot done. You built 4 Hellions, you proxied your starport, you only got 3 probes. That's incredible. The break-even point there is getting 8 probes. And now we do have the medevac here once again. And the medevac's not going to be able to get targeted down, but the Hellions will die. They're going to trade with themselves for 1 adept. And I don't think they'll really find that all that useful. As Cloudy doing a great job, he says, you know what, XY, I know what you're up to. I know you want to push or you want to drop everywhere at once. I'm going to put my Stalkers in my natural as I come clean this up, because I think you probably get multiple drops at once. We do have a couple SCVs on the way. These were probably just misrallied. I don't think XY meant to proxy anything, as it's pretty easy to accidentally just misrally production cycle and send them across the map at any level of play. And arguably, it's even better at the highest level, or even easier at the highest levels, because, well, you get to deal with that fun thing called 400 APM, where you just kind of can misclick things. Although, again, it's not something you see at the absolute highest levels. You don't see CL do that. But hold that thought. So we do have some Blink Stalker aggression now finding its way onto XY side of the map. But this is going to be something rather difficult for Cloudy to get any sort of damage done here, as there are 3 tanks. There's a bunch of bio. Plus 1 is just about done. Stim is done. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of room here. And Cloudy says, you know what? That's fine. I see that. I have an observer. I don't want to mess with this. I'm just going to go on the way home. And now we do have a drop here, 8 Marine drop that's ready to go into the natural. But Cloudy will be able to spot this as it moves across the map. And interestingly to note, okay, so we do have the drop now running in, and Cloudy a little bit slow to respond at first, because of course he did see this. He did have an observer in position, but this is because he was microing with the army across the map, trying to prevent it from really getting a whole lot done. He will be able to shave off Marauder, but this drop in the main base is getting some nice damage done here. Only 2 workers going down, but a lot of lost mine time. It's not going to run into the main here, but what it means, of course, is XY is not paying attention to his main force, and the tanks, they will be surrounded, and they will be charged upon, and they will all die. The Stalker's going to blink on top of them, and the main army of XY dies, but more importantly, the tanks are dead. And the tanks are what constitute the main stopping power of this army. They are what allows XY to be safe and allows XY to be aggressive here on the map. And now that push out that XY really wanted to get some sort of damage done with, well, that push out is almost directly 1-to-1 countered by the build XY or Cloudy has gone for here, where you just get a lot of gates. You don't even get your gas on the 3rd for the longest times, and you get 8 to 10 gates, and you just crank out a bunch of zealots, and you move it into Charge Light Immortal Archon. You get Storm, but the thing is, you just get a lot of zealots first and foremost after Blink. And what this allows you to do, it allows you to just absolutely swallow up that first Terran push that moves across the map and find yourself in a nice advantage. This is a build that I first saw players like Skilless, Hellraiser, and Estrella doing, but since then has really moved into the meta a little bit more, as XY will be able to move onto the 12 o'clock position of this map and cancel, or actually I believe that was a kill the Nexus of Cloudy and force the supply block. But now with the army not really there, Cloudy definitely has an opportunity to move across the map and get something done. But with the one tank here and the second one's going to siege up, well, he's not really going to get anything done. But that being said, these storms are incredible. And XY is just kind of standing them. I know he thinks he had the split, but he really didn't. And now Cloudy's going to be able to get in there. He has the inside track onto the mineral line. And now with only 2 tanks here, this is really not that stalwart of a defensive position for XY. And Cloudy's going to be able to get on top of things once again. The tanks are now going to go down, but the entire army of Cloudy is not fighting at the moment. He will be able to, okay, that will be repaired. But that storm's not going to be all that great. But now with Stalker's going to blink on. Second set of storm, also not all that great, but may just be enough here, as 15 SCVs have gone down. Sure, the drop on the third base of Cloudy is getting work done as well, but there are enough warp ins here that it's really not getting a whole lot done, and the third base has been ravaged. But that being said, the army of Cloudy is not in that great a position, and it will be forced to recall, but there's not a whole lot of it to recall here, and there are not really enough Stalkers to be able to deal with this. So now Cloudy finds himself massively down on army supply and incredibly vulnerable to whatever sort of counterattack XY wants to enforce upon him, as he was not able to keep up the fourth base as well. The question, of course, is whether XY understands that he has this big of an opening, and it feels like he does, because we do have a massive doom drop moving into the into the natural of Cloudy here, as he has pulled away the majority of Cloudy's ground army down to the lower right-hand side. And sure, there's going to be a warp in, but this is a fairly large army here. Actually, so the drop will be cleaned up, and with 17 workers going down, the economy of our 2 players has managed to equalize. And of course, with the mules, this is more than equalized. XY finding himself in a significant economic lead. He's been able to take his 4th base in the chaos as well. Fix that. My apologies. My hotkeys were not set up for this. Now they are. There we go. Alright, so you can see the economic advantage here. XY's massively ahead. He's nearly 2,000 resources per minute ahead. Which means that, well, he already had a pretty nice army supply lead, and now he has the opportunity to get even more so, and he's up 2 upgrades as well. So this is just the perfect timing for him to get something done. And this Archon drop really shouldn't get a whole lot done. Actually, he's going to lose the Archon because of the Warp Prism positioning. Actually going to lose the Warp Prism as well. But these chargeless, they're going to get a decent amount of SCVs. But the question, of course, is not how many SCVs will die, because that is going to be a lot. The question is whether Cloudy can hold off this army that is plus 30 army supply to him. And yes, he's building Colossi 2x2 now, but without extended thermal lance, these Colossi are not nearly as effective. Not nearly as effective as one would expect. And now, okay, we do have that charge lot warp in cleaned up, and now Cloudy finds himself in a decent economic position once again, even if he doesn't have a 4th base. He's kind of stuck here on 3 bases for the duration. There we do have extended thermal lance on the way, and there are not a lot of Vikings. So as long as there are enough charge lots in this army, I'm now with 2-2 done, that is definitely, that there is some bulk to this army. As long as there is enough bulk to this army, there is the opportunity for Cloudy to make the defense. But now we do have the Doom Drop going in once again. But now with some really nice EMPs, this should get cleaned up rather nicely. And Cloudy, wise to the tricks of XY, says, you know what, I have to move my army into the 3rd base immediately. And Cloudy, to his credit, does have 2 different types of splash in this army. He doesn't have the 3 that you really want, but he does have 2. And of course, the question here is, at what point is he going to be able to move into that stage of the game that we've been seeing Terrans really struggle with, where it's Blink DT, it's charge lots, and bases don't stay up. But as I say that, as I hit, that's kind of the ultimate end game here. Cloudy's found himself in a army supply lead. He's found himself in an economic lead for the last minute or 2, and he has a terrifying army. There just really are not a lot of Vikings on the map right now for XY, and there are no ghosts. Enhanced Shockwave is just only now on the way. So there is now an opportunity here for Cloudy to maybe get something done, to strike back against his Terran oppressor and take a 3-0 lead in this series. But that being said, this is a massive concave for XY, and the SCV, or the The Colossi were not fighting for the majority of this. Actually, there are two more now on the, or one more now on the way. So the majority of the Colossi were not fighting for this engagement, which of course makes life rather difficult. And I would really like to see Cloudy not try to force his way up this ramp, but instead move around the left hand side. But he's going to force his way up the ramp once again. And now with the EMPs not landing on the High Templar, only on the Warp Prism, storms are going to land, and they're going to land decently well. But now the bio is just going to get on top of these Colossi, and it's going to be able to kill 2 of them off, but not 3. And it feels like XY has just barely enough to hold this up. Now they're going to get on top with the Colossi dead. It's only Blink Stalkers here, and 3+3 attack is done, and XY will push Cloudy back. And in doing so, it really does feel like Cloudy was rather all in this push. Sure, he's establishing a 4th base behind this, but +3 is not done. There are no more Colossi on the map. It's only Disruptors now. And sure, Disruptors have the ability to swing the game back in Cloudy's favor, but I don't have the confidence. It is 3-3 bio against 2-2 really gateway units, and gateway units do not fare well against enhanced shockwave ghosts here. So now the question is whether Cloudy can hold. He did it once. Can he do it again? These storms, not all that inspiring, but first Disruptor shot will go out, will not hit in the slightest. And we do have 2 more storms on the back line, so maybe that's going to something. And this first Disruptor shot, the second Disruptor shot is actually going to be pretty good. Storms are going to be decent as well, and it looks like that's going to be just enough to prevent XY from breaking the 4th base of Cloudy. But we do have nice rallies on the way here. And as the Terran kites back once again, it feels like Cloudy really just doesn't have quite enough here. And now there we go. We do have XY cutting back once again, and with just a couple of Archons, and there are a bunch of Vikings on the ground here, and Vikings do not stand up to, or Stalkers do not stand up to Vikings in the slightest. With no storms as well, the 4th base will fall, and with that, Cloudy's hopes, Cloudy's dreams at taking a 3-0 lead in this series. And more Terran bio streams across the map. The only question is when, and now that question is answered as well, as XY takes his first map in this best of 9. XY looking rather good in that macro game that we were able to finally see from him, that he was allowed to play. And now, okay, it is expected. That was Eternal Empire. If you're going to play macro on any map in the pool, you're going to play macro game on A, Eternal Empire, and B, Ice and Crow. Of course, those are the two biggest / most defensive maps in the pool. So if you're going to go to a long game, that is where you're going to see it. That being said, well, until we get to, unless we get past Game 7, we're not going to see. We only have one of those maps left, which means that maybe there's an opportunity for Cloudy to get cheeky once again and pull out those strats that have shown that he's seen such success with in the series thus far. Because it really, XY, despite some blunders, despite some hiccups, really did just look like that he had a better understanding of the mid to late game than Cloudy did. And of course, that's just one game, and Cloudy definitely had opportunities to come back. But what I really didn't like, or I should say, what was really his downfall in that game number 2, more than anything else, was his decision to attack into a massive Terran choke. And with the concave that was able to happen, we saw almost a full 360-degree surround as Cloudy really tried to find his way in there. And full 360 surround when Marauders are able to directly fire upon Colossi, that's never good for the Protoss player, in the slightest. Alright, so it looks like next map will be Everdream. Alright. So now we do have Everdream on the way. And now the question is, of course, does he do Void Rays again? Because, again, he's found 2 wins with it. Does he do some sort of other 1 base, 2 base, all in? Does he say, you know what? I think I didn't feel that bad in that macro game. There's just a couple small things I got to clean up, and I'll be able to take out XY. Whoa. We'll see, because our players are loaded into map number 4. All right, here we go. Spawning in the upper right. In the blue for Triumphant Song Gaming, it's Cloudy. And in the bottom left, in the red, taking his first game in this series, it's XY. Man, I wish I could learn to just really growl my voice. Like, say, like Maynard or Tasteless or something. For those real fancy intros, just it's XY. But I can't really do it without just absolutely frying my vocal cords. So, definitely something I would like to learn, I guess. Now, unfortunately, it's not really happening at the moment. So you just get kind of stock standard introductions for the moment. We'll see what happens here. As, once again, we don't see Cloudy going for, well, I'm going to say we don't see him going for Void Rays. There's definitely the opportunity for him to go do something else cheeky, but we don't see that double gas before Cyber, which means he's most likely, and yeah, with the probe harassing things, naturally, yeah, he's most likely going into at least a 2-base play. Now, whether he does anything more than that, or whether he just decides to do something crazy off 2 bases, we don't know yet. But, of course, the trick here is he's going to do his best to prevent this natural from going down, which is nice. All right, well, or I should say the longer he's able to prevent this is nice, because it means that there's room potentially for an Adept to get across the map later, and then go deny the SCV that is building this, as we do have an SCV across the map, and XY did take some pains to prevent the probe from seeing it, just because, well, because he didn't have 2 SCVs trying to get the natural command center down, but no, this SCV is just going to show itself, so you can say, oh, hey, look, I see the natural, I see the fact that you have a cyber core, I see the location of it, I know you're probably not going all in. Well, more importantly, I know there's a Nexus, so you're absolutely not hitting me with some 1-base play. Which is, of course, good to know. So we do have the factory also built in the main, or yeah, in the main base of XY here. So we're not going to see anything too crazy as of yet. And as I say that, we do have 2 Marines just moving across. Okay, I say we do have 2 Marines moving across the map, but these Marines are just there to try to cut off any sort of Adept Stalker moving across the map, trying to see what they can get done. Get some damage down from low ground, high ground, to prevent the Adept from canceling the command center. But any sort of Adept says, no, we're not moving across the map. Not quite yet. In fact, the Stalker's just going to move around, try to ensure that there are no proxies, at least no local proxies coming from XY. As we move now into the mid-game. So we do have the blink opener once again coming from Cloudy here. Probably going to see a Robo go down in a second, 2 more gates. And there we have it. First gate on the way. And actually, this is going to be the 2-gate opener then, I think, coming from Cloudy, which is a bit more macro-focused. You get a bit of a faster third. And now we have the several... How that probe? Okay, I guess probe went off to the right. So now, what is this? 6 Marines, 2 Hellions now moving across the map. Trying to get some damage done. Trying to put some pressure on the map here. And this may work just because it's weird. Although with the wall off, with these 2 Stalkers, I don't think it's going to be enough. And behind this, XY says, you know what? I'm going... I like Banshees. Banshees are a good thing. So now with the 3 Stalkers here, I think Cloudy with decent micro is going to be able to pull this off. Of course, we see him targeting down the Hellions more than anything else, because Hellions are what will do any sort of potential drone damage. And actually, excellent micro from Cloudy. He's not going to lose a single Stalker, but he will get into the main base with these Hellions. However, 2 Hellions do not a drone kill make. And actually, really nice micro here from the drones. And only 2 are going to go down in its entirety. And that's a pretty nice trade here for XY, or for Cloudy, as he looks to move on here into the mid game. And actually, this will end up being 3-gate blink, not 2-gate. But they of course, the third base going down behind this as well at around 4:15. Cloudy just wants to springboard himself into the mid game. Now, of course, he's going to have to weather the next onslaught here of XY, as XY seems really desperate to get some sort of damage done in the early to mid game in every game that we've seen thus far. Now, didn't really work in game number 1 because we were a Proxy Factory against Proxy Void Ray. That doesn't really work. Game number 2. We didn't even really see what his plan was because Proxy Void Ray once again. Game number 3, He proxied some Hellions, didn't really get a whole lot of damage done, but did end up winning the game. In game number 4, we do have Banshees here. And this does kind of jive with what Parting was talking about when I talked to him last week about, again, just kind of the state of this matchup, where it feels like, or a lot of Terrans, and actually Parting kind of feels the same way as well, it feels like the matchup is Protoss favored through every aspect of the game. Protoss favored early, middle, and late. And what this means is, okay, actually we do have some Stalkers being warped in. It looks like they're going to try to blink on top of the high ground here as I continue this train of thought. But anyway, what this means is Terrans are just trying to get stuff done earlier rather than later. So hey, if it's going to be imbalanced, at least we can do it when we're not going to be tremendously impaired here. And actually, the Stalker's going to blink in. 5 Stalkers do not kill a tank, not with the repair, and they're not even going to be able to kill that first tank. And that's a terrible trade for Cloudy, especially as he's lost 5 SCVs to this, or 5 probes to this in the early game already. As we do have a second Banshee trying to see what it can get done, but well, with the pylon here, it's not really going to get a whole lot done yet. But I gotta feel that XY killing 5 workers, okay, not a ton, but it now means he's even on workers with his Protoss opponent, who has 3 bases. So that's a pretty auspicious opening here, if I do say so myself. And more importantly, he got a bunch of Stalkers, so Cloudy really has no agency on the map now. And that is, you know, you can talk about macro, you can talk about micro, you can talk about the spending quotient, how well a player spends their economy, you can talk about how often they get supply blocked, you can talk about their retention. All these are resources, but some people like to call it map control. I like to talk about it as agency. What can a player get done in any stretch of the game? Who has the game by the reins, and who is just kind of forced to sit back, forced back to defend? It doesn't really have the ability to seize the game in their grip and try to get something done. Well, losing all those Stalkers, that meant for the moment all Cloudy could do was just kind of sit back, defend, and he had no agency now on the map. Now with these 8 gates being completed, for a grand total of, well, I guess 7 gates completed, for a grand total of 7 warp gates, going up to 9 actually. Well, now we do have agency for Cloudy as he looks to move into the map here. Get a fairly decent warp in here into the main base, but the missile turret's already down. It's going to be difficult for him to really find a spot without taking some missile turret damage from this or prism. That being said, I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue, as he doesn't really seem to be paying too much attention to it at the moment. And we do have a double forge now on the way, but these upgrades are not timed well at all compared to what we saw last game, where we testing. Test. All right, so apparently my mic is gone. Okay. Wait, did you have your stream? Okay, good. I was getting really worried. I'm like, man, has my software died? Oh no! Like, I had to restart my computer right before this because everything crashed. I'm like, oh no, has something gone wrong? Is OBS just messing up? And have I not been casting for the last 20 minutes? For the last 40 odd minutes? That would have been really sad here. But it's fine, it's dandy. We do have a move out here from XY. It's really not going to get a whole lot done, and Cloudy feels safe enough to get his 4th base done. Now, what I was talking about before I got distracted by potential technical difficulties is the fact that Cloudy, unlike the previous game where he went for this style, is vastly behind on upgrades. 1-1 is only halfway done, and 2-2 is almost halfway done here. For their Terran player, Terran's up significantly in army supply as well. So it really does feel like XY is in the driver's seat in this game number 2, even more so than just killing 5 workers and preventing and killing the Stalkers would make it out to be. But now, okay, so this Banshee just doing a good job killing these Stalkers, preventing really keeping tabs on the army more than anything else. And now the army of Cloudy is going to find the army of XY, and that's a really nice first storm. Okay, nice. Cloudy tries to blink out of the Widow Mines, but really not going to get a whole lot done. And the fact that there's no observer with this army is a massive mistake for Cloudy. He's just going to have all his High Templar killed. 1 down, 2 down, and this is just this is honestly game-ending damage here. Or not game-ending, but fight-ending damage here for Cloudy. XY now just going to take the opportunity to boost into the main, and these storms are just not hitting. They're hitting Medivacs. Medivacs that are boosting through them. So now there's a massive doom drop here in the main base of Cloudy as he's forced to recall to defend, and I'm not even sure that's going to be enough here. As the entire army, oh, those are massive storms though. But most of massive storms on Medivacs can pick up and leave. It's only 50% damage. And now XY is going to ping pong himself into the third base, but leaving the Widow Mines in the main. Now the Banshee that has just been sitting there behind the mineral line, behind the main base, behind the natural of Cloudy for the majority of this game is going to go and get more and more worker damage in the main as the fourth is sniped. And XY, well, he's up 40 army supply. He's up in workers. He's up in economy. He's in upgrades. He's up in every aspect of this game. And sure, the first two games of this series were a little bit dodgy, but he is taking the game. He's taking the series by the reins in this game number 4. Although, you know, he's not microing the Marines in the bottom left, but that's okay because he's now found a avenue into the third base. He's going to just target everything down here. Actually, I don't even mind not burning the Widow Mine. The Widow Mine has more important things than killing 30 workers because the bio can do that for itself. And now we have Cloudy stuck on 2 bases with really not all that great of an army. No sustained flash damage here. All he has is a couple, and I mean a couple, of storms. Sure, he has 5 High Templar, and that is 5 storms, and that's nice. But XY, well, they're on even ping, and he can absolutely split his way out of this. And there we have it. The Banshee planking away is too much, and XY taking game number 4. And with that, the series is evened up. Now, Ikazura, I accept your apology, but you know, in order for me to really truly accept it, you're gonna have to hit that nice little follow button under the stream, so you can see when I cast other things. It's a win-win. But anyway, gonna take this opportunity. Hey, it worked! Thank you, man. Or man, woman, guy, gal, non-determinate pal, whatever you may be. I appreciate you. Anyways. Now, the next thing I start begging is for you to subscribe, but no pressure. Anyway, I've had, you know, a couple things while we wait for the lobby to be made. I have recently been signed by Exxon, which is exciting. So that's the logo in the upper left. This has actually been organized by Mage, who does things for Alpha X. He's there. Hey. Okay. You know what? Thanks for making my really early morning. Anyway, so I've recently been signed by Exxon. That's exciting. Which means I will be the primary caster for their weekly Exxon Cups and other things that are happening. The first of those that I will be covering in earnest is going to be at 9 p.m. tonight, assuming I sleep and do all these fun things. So that's a good time. I also do some casting for Alpha X on their channel. They're generally they're Africa TV channels and they're Trovo channels, and I will actually be casting a 2v2 tournament the 27th and 28th, and then the Saturday following that on Trovo as well on my channel there, because that's where the sponsor money comes. But anyway, this tournament is not sponsored by Exxon. I'm just personally sponsored by Exxon. This tournament is sponsored by fans of XY all across the globe, organized by Mage and the Alpha X crew. So I don't exactly know where you can show them some love, but if you find a way to do it, show them some love. They're awesome. But enough inane blabbering for me, enough shilling myself just a little. We have game number 5, and it's all loaded in. And here we are, spawning in the bottom right. In the blue, it's Cloudy. And in the bottom left, in the red for Invictus Gaming, it's XY. Now, again, to beat a dead horse, because this is a horse that apparently needs to just be continuously beaten, I would really like to see XY go for that Void Ray build once again. It's been shown to be pretty unbeatable. Now, the thing is, of course, is this is not the best map for it if you proxy here, right? If you proxy at the standard kind of third-ish base location that you do on any other map. But I believe if you start mining at 12, just exactly 12 supply, if you start mining this out, you should be able to start proxying the Void Rays on the low ground, just about out here, and really get something done. Now, I don't know if it times out properly. I have not tried this. I don't play Protoss. But that strikes me as something, as just kind of the next evolution of this strategy, as there's absolutely no way for the Terran to deny the shield batteries in any way, shape, or form. And of course, that's the true hold. But Cloudy says, you know what? No. I'm going to try to play macro once again. And that really does feel like the type of game where XY really has dominance, has an advantage here, at least what we've seen thus far. So with that being said, we do have naturals coming down from both players, and the question is whether Cloudy is going to deviate from what we've seen in the last 2 games, more than anything else. And it looks like he will, as we do have a probe moving to a suspicious position in the upper middle side of the map. This screams some sort of proxy here for Cloudy. And yeah, especially with the probe just being a little bit cheeky, making sure it's as hidden as possible. Now, of course, this may just be for a follow-up scout, and I may be wrong. And the longer and longer it takes to get this pylon down, although he is continuously selecting it. We shall see. Although once again, this opener from Cloudy does kind of look like the opener we've seen everywhere else. But once again, I really think we're gonna see a proxy coming down here from Cloudy, as we do have an adept moving across the map, so which means the probe is not really going to be necessary or useful for a follow-up scout. So there we do see the pylon now on the way, and it is going to be Proxy Dark Templar. Here on game number 5, Cloudy, he has shown the blink tech 2 games in a row. He has shown exactly kind of what he wants to go for, and I believe XY has been able to scout. Okay, he really hasn't been able to scout much at all, but there are assumptions, and he said, look, if this is what Cloudy likes to do in a macro game, okay, that's my assumption, that's what I'm going to go with. But we do have the Dark Shrine now on the way. It's going to get proxy. Well, the Dark Shrine is going to be in the main base. The gateway will be proxied. Actually, the Marine is not going to be rallied there at the moment, but we have an armory on the way for XY. And that's interesting. Actually, okay, this is maybe a little less interesting than I thought it was, as, well, this is just going to be Cloaked Widow Mine. Cloaked Widow Mines, which actually is going to be rather decent, as XY is not really paying attention too much. And actually, XY, well, this probe is nicely suspicious, but no, it's not going to distract XY from his ultimate purpose here, as he will be able to scout this proxy gateway before anything truly happens, which means that the first set of Dark Templar is going to have to be delayed, unfortunately. So now, it's probably not going to warp in from here because Cloudy doesn't. Okay, actually, it's going to warp in on the low ground, and that's not going to be visible. And actually, he took. It looks like he took a great pains. Although, yeah, okay, there's only 2 gates, so one of these gates did show warp in. But now we do have the Dark Templar on the way. But there is absolutely no way, no way that Cloudy's going to be able to get in here. Scan's going to go off. Okay, you know what? As I say that, that's not a wall, and Cloudy gets in. But there's now a second scan, and yeah, okay, that's going to happen. Yeah, this is just a messed up wall here. I guess this is difficult to wall. Oh, is the way XY did here, because there's absolutely a gap. And now the Marine he's almost gonna get the pylon, but not quite. And the Adept is going to do its job in earnest. Now we do have the Widow Mine drop coming across the map here. And do we have an observer? Okay, we have one observer. Where is it? Because that's rather important here. Observer is in the main base, so this Cloaked Widow Mine drop is not going to get a ton of damage done here. Not 0. And it's going to get at least the 2 probes, most likely. But it's not going to be able to sit there and be a pain to dislodge, as we've seen in some games where this really happens. Now it's going to boost in, try to see what he can get done, and the probes are going to get pulled at the last minute. Okay, only one going down. Did I see Drilling Claws? And this is a Drilling Claw drop as well. So definitely the opportunity here to get something done. Boost is now done here, so it's going to try to drop right on top of these probes and target down the probes, but nice pull at the last second, and Cloudy does not take more damage than is necessary. Now we do have Dark Templars now once again warped in the main base, and there's no army here, which means that sure, you know, there's detection, there's a Raven, that's nice, but it's only so good if you don't have anything to actually kill the Dark Templar. And now we have Colossi on the way for Cloudy as he really struggles to get into the mid game. Wow, sorry, to get into the mid game. Voice modulation, please. Anyway, because as I was saying, talking about transition into the mid game here, it does not feel like Cloudy's tech has done enough to really get what he wants to get done here, and the delayed third is probably not exactly what he needs. Because if we look at similar strategies, for example, when we see the blink opener, what you see from the Terran, or the Protoss more than anything else, he's taking a 4.5 minute third base. He's really getting his economy roaring fast and hard. And now XY finds himself up on economy compared to his Terran opponent. Well, that is just worst case scenario, or up on workers compared to his Terran opponent. That is just about the worst case scenario, as mules are a thing. And if we look at our economy here, actually nice Archon drop's going to be able to mostly kill the Raven. And what that means is it's going to be rather difficult for any sort of follow-up push that XY is going to want to go for. But no, the Raven's just going to be repaired, so damage is not permanent. And XY is definitely going to have that opportunity. But anyways, I was talking about economy, or if we look at economy for a second, XY just has these bursts of significant economic leads. As sure, he's down a couple workers. Well, actually, when they were even on workers, when we were looking at this lead, sure, he's down on workers, but he just barely. It's like when it's within 2 workers, the Terran has the economic lead. Because mules are a powerful thing. So now we do have a drop moving in the upper right, more Widow Mines, and as the game gets more hectic, this is definitely an opportunity here for XY to get the damage done that he really didn't get done in the early game. So he can take the gold as well. And for a pushing, it feels like Terran gets the most out of a gold, even though mules don't mine as nicely as they could. So now we do have this single medevac going in once again, and the pull is not quite there, but good enough. 2 workers go down, and with cannons in the mineral line, not really going to get a whole lot done. But of course, the useful thing is the potential third will have vision on it, but actually that may be to the detriment of XY more than been his benefit, as the fourth base is the one that has been, or I should say the pocket third is the base that has been taken here. Although it looks like we're going to see Cloudy take his fourth base in a second, as we do see him, the overset. Okay, actually, never mind, that's for gas. But anyway, what I was talking about with the gold mineral line here, it does feel like Terrans benefit from gold more than any other race. Sorry, more from this specific gold base. As well, first of all, Marines are of course the best unit in the game. Although, of course, there's an argument for Banelinks here. But the bigger point is it's easier for them to defend the mineral line from behind than it is for any other race, in my opinion. And especially considering the way Terrans will play, where they're just, or playstyle where they're just pushing hard. Both these things make it really possible for them to get the kind of to actually get use out of this third base. That being said, though, with the Colossi and the full army of the Protoss moving across the base, it's maybe not as great of maybe that's a little bit harder to hold. But now the Terran is definitely getting benefit from it now. If you look at the economy here, actually, surprisingly enough, not with the economic lead. I see Zealot Charge by going to go. This fourth should get canceled. And we are moving into late game play once again. Rip my sleep schedule. Anyway, we do have the majority of the army of Cloudy now moving across the bottom half of the map here. And he's going to be able to just siege up the third base. And sure, there's a tank here, but Archons don't take a bunch of damage from tanks. The 7 workers just go down immediately. And the question, of course, is whether XY is going to be able to get any sort of counter damage done on the other side of the map. It doesn't really look like it at the moment. And yeah, we are just transitioning into some nice stocks. Well, I shouldn't say stock standard. Some nice fancy mid-game player. As Cloudy was forced to recall. I don't really think he did, but he didn't really know exactly what was in this medevac on the bottom side of the map. And now we do have that 16 Marine drop. Going to try to stim in, but, well, +1 Colossi say, no. They just will eviscerate that drop here. And yeah, XY really just not able to get the type of damage he wants to get done. And we're moving into the stage of the game where it just kind of gets a little bit scary for the Protoss. And this is not balance whining, or for the Terran, I should say. This is not balance whining. This is just talking about trends that I've seen in the matchup over the last, really since the, actually it's not even a balance change. That was just a meta change. Ever since Protoss kind of realized that Blink Dart Templar in the late game is a really good thing. Because Blink, of course, is just worth 1 Dark Templar. Alright, that's just about the same cost. So if you're able to even save 1 Dark Templar with Blink, that makes it worth it. So now we're moving into that stage where Protoss is getting four bases, soon to get 5, and it's just spamming charge lots, spamming Dark Templar everywhere on the map here. Which of course just makes it rather difficult for the Terran to really to defend their outer bases, especially as the game gets bigger and gets more hectic. Now the question here, of course, is how easily is Cloudy going to be able to circulate between his bases? Because that is definitely an issue when dealing with this map in particular, when you're taking the low base. But we do have a nice drop, Widowmine drop actually, just going to go into the what is this? The third base with fast burrowing Widowmines, 8 workers are going to go down, and that's nice. And Cloudy, well, he's still going to be up on economy, but not by nearly as much as he was. And interestingly enough, although I was going to say XY doesn't really have a lot of workers here, but that's really fine because he's the gold mineral base. So now we do have a drop in the main as the main RVXY is going to run into the natural here. Nice job EMPing the shield batteries, which just means that only the overcharge is really going to get anything done. And now the pylon's going to go down, and with it the natural. So, but on the flip side, on the other side of the map, the 4th base will get targeted down as well. And Dark Templars, they're just nice, strong things. And now we find the army of Cloudy marooned error on the upper side of the map, and that means XY has an excellent opportunity to just get on top of the main base. However, he's lost his Raven, which means it's going to be a lot harder for these or a lot easier for these Dark Templar to get damage done. But with the Vikings just going to sit on top of the high ground, these Colossi are really not, they really just cannot get a whole lot done here. Disruptor shots, though, disruptor shots are going to be rather nice, but the question is at what cost? As 29 workers have gone down, now the Marine Army, or the Terran Army, is going to be able to stem on top of things, get everything but that last Colossus, it looks like, and get out with mostly their lives intact. However, on the other side of the map, tremendous damage has been done to the Terran as well, as these massive amounts of Dark Templar, they're just going to kill everything. There you have it, GG, Cloudy, taking game number 5. He only needs 2 games. Only 2 games left. Well, only 2 games for him to win. But yeah, that's what I was worried about when I talk about, yeah, the late game, it's scary for the Terran. And actually, if you look at Aligulac, in pro games in August, Protoss had a 54% win rate over, I think, 2,500 games was the sample size. All right, we're in for another long game. Because Ice and Chrome is coming up next. So, to pull a Wardy, I guess, I'm going to take the opportunity right now to show my, if you like what I do, if you think, hey, this guy is pretty cool, his commentary is good, all these different things, whatever. Hey, Shigwa's in the lobby. I believe that's Shigwa. So anyway, if you like what I do, feel free to drop a follow. I do cast a decent amount on this channel. I cast on Alpha X's channel as well. But I do cast a decent amount on this channel, especially now with the Exxon partnership. I'm going to be able to do more and more of that. Actually, I just got a fancy Twitter logo. So if you want to follow my Twitter, I really just cast, I just tweet whatever I'm going live with. So I'm not all that active. Feel free to do so. I like to think I do a decent job. But that's enough about me. What, of course, is more important here is our players. You know what? Thank you. But anyway, what's important here is our players, and game number 5. Lobby is loaded. Let's get into it. All right, here we go. That score is wrong. There we go. Here we go. Spawning the upper right. Into the blue for Triumphant Song Gaming. It's Cloudy. And in the bottom left, in the red, for Infinity Gaming, it's our Invictus Gaming. It's XY. Yeah, we're not going to talk about what I have below the camera, Kerrigan. The benefit of casting from your home is I can get as dapper as I want. from the waist up. And it looks great. And then, from the waist down, it's sweatpants. It's running shorts. It's whatever. So, you know, the benefits of quarantine in the days of, or the benefits of quarantine in the days of StarCraft 2. And Cloudy has reverted to the type of game that showed, or that gave him so much success in games number 1 and 2. We have Proxy Void Rays on the way, and more importantly, I kind of like it here because there is, I don't know whether he's going to put it on the high ground, but if he puts it on the low ground, there's very little chance he's going to get scouted. But no, he's going to put it on the high ground. There's a nice Stargate position here, and you can definitely put some shield batteries in a pretty nice position here that puts them near the high ground. And the question is whether this has been removed from XY's mind enough for him to, well, for him to discount it, for him to not prepare for it. And he has not. All right, we do have a, or I should say he has not yet, as we do have a natural on the way for XY. And of course, it's just that much harder to hold when you go for, a Reaper expand. Now the Reaper's going to find it. And once again, that means this shield battery will not get up. And I really just have to question the decision to build the shield battery, to build everything here versus down below, just because this is the Reaper path. This is the path the Reaper's going to take, and therefore it's going to be found. And actually, with the SCVs being pulled, he's going to pull it. He's going to kill the pylon too. And with the pylon dead, this rush is dead in the water. And I think for the first time, we're gonna see a version of this build that doesn't get a single void ray out. We're gonna see this really not work in the slightest. And now XY is massively ahead. He is a natural 90% of the way done. And sure, he had to pull some SCVs, and that's not optimal. But now Cloudy, he's on one base. He doesn't have the tech he wants. He has a Twilight Council away. He's going to go into some sort of blink all in behind this, but off of one base. That is terrible for Cloudy. And it's going to take a lot of work for him to really come back in this game number 5. And it's looking like we're going to have the series be equalized once again. Now, that's not to say this is over. Any stretch of the imagination, this series is not over. Or I shouldn't say this series is not over. This game is not over. Cloudy has every opportunity to come back into this game. But this is probably the worst position he's found himself in this series thus far. Of course, now the question is, what will he be able to do with that now that he's found himself in such a position? So now the Reaper's going to go around, actually going to be able to get a decent amount of probes. Surprisingly enough, that doesn't feel like that is something that should ever happen, but there just wasn't enough Stalker out, or Stalker out early enough, and well, Reapers can do good work when it's just probes microing against. So now Cloudy, having lost workers, and only having his natural down, or natural not even done yet, down 8 workers is an 8. I really would not blame Cloudy for just tapping out right now. Now, you could argue that, Protoss is strong. It is. It's not. I don't think it's strong enough to come back from this. Or TVP is Protoss favored. Yeah, sure. I don't think it's powerful enough to come back from this, especially now with XY going for this quick 2 extra racks before a starport here, as he wants to get really aggressive. Now, this will not. Okay, this will be scouted, as we do have the starport now on the way. And it looks like XY is just going to go power into a 2-base timing here, 3-1-1, not give Cloudy really an inch, much less a mile, to try to come back into this game. And, honestly, this is probably the best case scenario for XY as he pounds out Marauders, pounds out Marines. He should not fall to this blink star, this 3, technically 2 base, but really 1 base, as there's nothing. This is a fake natural. Falls to this 1 base blink stalker regression that we do see coming now on the map here for Cloudy. Now the one thing I have to say, okay, there's a tank. It will get blinked upon immediately, but the repair is good, which means multiple tank shots are going to go down. And with this bunker here, sure, second one's not going to go up, but with this bunker just sitting here shelling away, I don't think the Terran should be broken. Now Stim is far off, which makes life rather difficult. I will say that. And 6 workers are going down, which means that the well, okay, who am I kidding? The worker supply is not equalizing in the slightest. Now we do have the Protoss army stimming in, or jumping in once again, but it's just losing too much here as the Terran Bio, well, it's going to trap the Protoss into a corner, and nobody puts baby in a corner. Well, unless Protoss is baby, because Protoss was absolutely put in a corner here as XY trying his darndest to really try to find some avenue in this game, but with a Widow Mine in the mineral line, that's going to do it, and XY evens the series up once again. All right, we're on to game number 7. That's exciting. Whole lot better than the last, what's the word? Whole lot better than the last massive best of 9 I cast, where parting, I mean, it was interesting, and it was educating. See what parting was able to do. However, 5-2, it didn't really feel all that close. I mean, I think in the... Oh, I mean, you say that. That may be true, or that may be true. XY may be... We're getting a crowded lobby here. I think it's Jigwa is one of them. But anyway, yeah, so XY may be the technically better player. However, PBT is probably Protoss favored at the moment, and Cloudy is no slouch. Now, of course, the Void Ray thing, it's pretty strong as long as it's not scouted. But I mean, we did see Cloudy win a late game PBT, so. All right, but you know what? Enough about me bloviating about potential balance concerns. We have players loaded into game number 7. So let's get in there. All right, here we go. Spawn in the upper right. Come on. That didn't update probably. In the blue, it's Cloudy. And in the bottom left, in the red, it's XY. Now, of course, I should take the moment to point out that we are in rarefied company in this best of 9, as we have had 2 more XY fans join the lobby. The first of which is Maxed. Those of you may be familiar. I believe he played on IG for a bit, but again, one of those really late Heart of the Swarm, I want to say Protoss players that out of China that were really taking names in the WCS circuit. And then we also have Shigwa, who also a very good Chinese Zerg, but they're both sitting in here. And they say, hey, you know what? We like XY. We're going to come cheer him on in game. Now, the interesting thing, of course, is Cloudy says, you know what? It's worked. It's worked twice. Hasn't worked once. I'm going to do it again. This time, of course, I'm just going to make it maybe a little bit further away so it's not going to be scouted. And that already is a nice thing for XY, as it means any sort of Void Ray here, or any sort of healing is going to have to be a little bit further back. But yes, I believe they play in the Chinese Team League. Actually, though, that's not even going to do it, as XY says, I know what you're doing now. I am wise to your tricks. You're not going to fool me again. Get out of here with these shenanigans, Cloudy. I found it once again. And at this point, it feels like XY just knows exactly where to look. As I've seen Parting go and proxy the Void Race here, as I guess this is just a little bit too obvious. But this time he's going to let it get up. And that's interesting. I guess he didn't feel like he found it fast enough. The Reaper's not going to be able to DPS it down. But anyway, yeah. To my knowledge, I believe they still play. They're certainly both Korean GMs. So they both have GM accounts. But anyway, I believe they still play. I believe they played in the Chinese Team League, the Golden Pro Series or whatever it's called, all the different Chinese tournaments. Because, of course, it's actually really interesting with SC Boy and all the stuff he's been doing for Chinese tournaments, for the Chinese scene. The Chinese scene is actually massive, and it's really cool to see. Really cool to see, especially how they're keeping the Korean scene alive by sponsoring all these Korean players. As this adept really won't get a whole lot done. But now the Void Race is going to be able to get on top of this bunker. Bunker is just barely not going to go down. SCVs are going to get there just in time. So now it looks like the Void Race is going to have to go just settle for a supply depot. And the Reaper is going to be able to get we're going to be able to get this probe, which it already means this is delayed slightly. I still don't like this hold. Okay, the bunker actually is in with range of one shield battery, and that's nice. But again, I still don't like this hold all that much because, okay, there we go. We do have a Cyclone on the way now. And that is what is important here because the hold this, as far as I can tell. Alright, so there we go. XY is now gonna have that, or Cloudy's now gonna target down the SCV, not just keep targeting down the supply depot. Supply depot is going to go down. Second one should go down as well. And this is already looking a lot better for XY. It feels like he maybe has a better understanding of how to hold it. Now, the Cyclone's going to lock onto these Void Rays, but that's not really going to do much. Of course, the big thing is Mag Field Accelerator. And now what's going to happen with that? So now he's going to be able to get on... he's going to try to jump on top of these Void Rays, but Void Rays are actually just going to jump on top of the Cyclone and just try to get it down. It's mostly going to go down, but repair is good. That's fine. So now with 3 Void Rays on the map, that's going to be a little bit harder. And we have Stalkers being warped in as well. I really want to see Cloudy start to target down some production facilities here. And now he's going to try to target down at this. The bunker is really not going to go down. And it feels like XY has maybe found a hold. But I have said this I have thought this in the past, and it is there just comes a point where there are just too many Void Rays. And with the amount of shield batteries that there are, it becomes impossible. But there's only one shield battery at the moment, and that shield battery will actually get targeted down, so I'm looking for XY, and I really would not mind seeing Cloudy. There we go. He's going to rotate down to the natural, and he's going to force that to lift, and he says, you know what, look, I'm not going to allow you to see the benefits of this base. I'm not going to allow you to see the benefits of mining from a natural. So there you go. The bunker will go down without a full full refund. Actually, the first border of the game is going to go down, but there's still 3 on the map. And with these Stalkers here, the bunker's not going to be allowed to go down. And the question here, of course, is will the Cyclones be able to get enough damage done? It looks like they will. Second border is going to go down as well, and this is actually disastrous for Cloudy here. It would have been much better for him to just target those Cyclones down and kill them than it would be to run away from Mag Accelerator Cyclones here, as more and more army of Cloudy is going down. It really feels like Shigwa, XY has the hold. Is the Doryu Cup happening right now? Yeah, but anyway, the hold is good here for XY. And sure, he's going to lose some more workers, but it feels like this is enough. There's just not enough here on the ground for Cloudy. And 1 basis to 2. It feels like Cloudy has been battered back once again. And yeah, so you can never trust Chinese numbers especially on dual U, things like that. There's a ton of U-bots. So when you see 576,000 viewers, they have a lot of viewers, definitely. But I don't think they're at 576,000. Oh, yeah. I wish I spoke Chinese, and I wish I spoke Korean and a couple other things. At the very least, it would be nice, especially when I do these show matches, it'd be nice to be able to add whoever it is, the winner, whether it's XY, whether it's Cloudy, whether it's Parting, and actually interview them without having to go through a translator. Because again, I think that'd just be kind of cool. But again, I don't speak Korean well enough. Yeah. But anyway, we do have a natural coming down here from Cloudy. But again, this is one of those things where it really doesn't feel like it's going to be all that great. It feels like XY has learned from his mistakes in game number 2, and now is definitely in a position where he's not going to die to any sort of blink follow-up. Not there is going to be some sort of blink follow-up. And actually, this will be Dark Templar. So the question is whether Cloudy is just one step ahead of his opponent. There is no starport as of yet. Although I think we're going to see a starport go down where this tech lab is. But anyway, there is no starport yet, which means that he's going to have to rely on scans. And I would not be surprised to see XY just really spam that scan button once the, well, once he gets his natural finally taken here. But now with the sentries on the way, this is a rather nice soft contain here coming from Cloudy. Although that force field's not going to do anything whatsoever here. And with these two tanks shelling up with the mag field accelerator cyclones, well, sentries are going to go down. This just feels like Cloudy hemorrhaging units more so than anything else. But now we do have XY. He is aware of potential eventualities here, and we do have a missile turret going down in the natural. We don't have one in the main base as of yet, but scans can defend one base. Actually, the pylon will not get targeted down because XY is going to micro it back. But we do have a Dark Templar on the way. Where are they being warped into? Come on, let me click on you, please. Oh, there we go. In the upper left. And now they're going to run in. The question is, can they do game-ending damage? Oh, okay, a scan was spent on the natural, which means there is one scan. Soon to be 2 scans. Okay, so he's going to be fine. Right now, the first Dark Templar is going to run in and will just explode in a pile of whatever Protoss are made of. Psionic energy? Something like that? Don't really know. But now we do have another probe moving across the map for more proxy shenanigans. And 3 more gates on the way, so we're going to get 6 gate, charge slot, Archon all in. Nope, probe's just going to go home. There we do. We have a bunch more charge slots now on the way. And XY has weathered round 1 of this all in. He's weathered round 2 of this all in. He's arguably weathered round 3 of this all in. Can he hold round 4? That's really the big question. I'm going to guess he can. It's really not that big of an army. Not a lot of economy here for Cloudy. He's got a bunch of tanks. There are bunkers. Although, with nothing sieged, maybe there's an opportunity for something to happen. But now he sees the army. He sees that the charge is done. No, but Cloudy says, you know what? If you think I'm going to call in, I'm going to take a third and we're going to go long. And now, of course, XY says, you know what? I'm going to take that opportunity to go drop myself. And so we have a charge lots now. The maximum number of charge lots in the warp prism here is going to go move into them in base. And we should see a fairly large warp in here. Or not. So XY is now aware that Cloudy is taking an 11-minute third base, as one does. This is the now, for those of you that may be new to StarCraft, or haven't played in a while, haven't watched in a while, whatever the case may be. Okay, actually, we have hold that thought a second. We have a nice charge slot, 1 DT drop coming in. It's going to get a bunch of workers, actually. 10 workers going down. I would have really liked to see the SCVs just get pulled rather than fighting there, but who am I to judge? Hey, thanks for the follow, Sunka. I think it's Sunka. You're gonna have to tell me if I pronounced that right. But anyway, lost my train of thought. Anyway, talking about things. 12 minutes is not a common timing for a third base to go down in any stretch of the imagination. But when you try to all in 3 different times and none of them work, well, there's room for that. As XY is establishing his third base as well. Neither players have insane economies. So once again, we do have the drop moving in. It's going to just bulldog on top of these tanks. I'm going to be able to get both of them. With the Dark Templar, really just not a whole lot of detection. But of course, the Dark Templar is the only thing that's going to be survived. But anything that Cloudy can do to cut down on the tank count is just really nice here. As of course, the tanks are what really provide the pushing power, provide the oomph for this Protoss army. Yeah, or for this Terran army. Thank you. Yeah, the whole idea behind this, because my name is Beowulf, right? I go by Beowulf. And Beowulf, of course, was a... Oh yeah, hold that thought. We do have XY moving in now, trying to see what he can get done. And these Widowmine shots actually not going to be all that big. And we do have Storm on the way, so there are definitely opportunities to get something done. Actually, this drop is going to... Okay, this drop's not going to be all that successful. Anyway, as I was saying, right? So as I say this, more action coming. I can't tell a story. Can the players calm down? Can they, like, not play this game well, and so I can tell a story? Nope, apparently not. We do have a Doom drop now into the main base of XY, and there's really not a whole lot here to defend. Just a couple more charge slots will be warped in. But this is +1 bio against plus zero zealots. But okay, with a storm coming in, that's going to be enough. And now, okay, now I have an opportunity, actually, especially with the War Prism going down. So, as I was saying, Beowulf, of course, Scandinavian Viking hero. Although it was written in Middle English, Little English. Wow, Middle English on the British Isles. Wow, I can't do this today. Yeah, we do have the drop. It's not going to go in, but we do have a decent push coming from the left-hand side. Oh, this one should get swallowed up. I don't think there's enough here to really get a whole lot done. Nice splits from Cloudy as he prevents most of the Widowmine damage. Actually, we're going to see a relatively nice flank here with that double drop, what is left of it, at least coming from the left. And these storms are going to hit decently well. There's enough Medevac energy for the time being. And actually, the nice thing about this drop more than anything is it's going to draw the main army from Cloudy off. As XY looks to get something done on the third base. And now with the double drop, once again going in, going to be able to get a couple more probes. And more importantly, it's going to distract the attention because well, Cloudy's not paying attention at first, but of course these storms, they're going to hit pretty nicely. But there are only so many of them. Actually, that's a traitor Widowmine. And it feels like the aggression from XY, even though, of course, his supply is massively ahead. It feels like his supply is really just on his side of the map yet, so he's really not in a position yet where he can really break through. But as I say that, it feels like maybe this is the tipping point, as there's just no storms left. And this Protoss army without storms is not powerful in the slightest. And Cloudy, really, he's banking a lot at this point. That's the biggest of issues. And sure, I get it. As a Protoss, you bank a lot because of how your production works, but not that much. And now, nice. Scan the Observer to kill it. And there we have it. GG. XY. 1 game away on match point. So, anyway. We now have all the maps open for the players as we're moving on to game number 8. But anyway, as I was saying, before I was so rudely interrupted by players playing the game. Alright, so my moniker comes in part from Beowulf, right? And something my high school English teacher said to do with my last name. Anyway, so that's how that works out. Anyway, so as a part of that, all the artwork I had done, all this is going off kind of this Viking theme. Alright, the script, the logo is it's the dragon head, Fenrir, and the dragon that Beowulf slays in that epic. All those fun things. So on top of that, I found some Warhorn sounds, and that's the notification sounds. And I think I need to go back and change it so it is, because I think Bits is one of those that doesn't have the proper Warhorn sound going for it, so I need to go back and change that. But no one ever drops Bits, so it's okay. That's fine. Here we are. We have game number 8. XY with a 4-3 lead. And here we go, spawning in the bottom left. In the red on match point, it's XY. And in the upper right, in the blue, his life on the line, it's Cloudy. Alright, so it's at this moment, I should take the time to shout out the incredible... Yeah, I think so too. I think Cloudy probably takes a best of 5. I think XY takes a best of 7 or a best of 9. Although technically, if this series ended right now, XY would have taken the best of 9 or best of 7. But anyway, shout out the incredible fan club of XY. I don't know exactly what it is about XY that makes him so popular in China. Outside of course, just being one of those Terrans that can really take it to Koreans. And I guess maybe he streams a lot. I don't really know. If someone knows anything about the Chinese scene and can answer that one to me, I would love to hear it. Always love hearing about the different StarCraft scenes. But anyway, the incredible XY fans that have sponsored this cup put $100 on the line. And of course, it's a 70-30 split, so neither player really goes home with nothing. And hey, you know what? $70, even $30 for an hour and a half-ish of work. That's not that bad. That's really not that bad. And I'm excited to see what kind of game we're going to get for this, potentially the last game of the series, as this is Ice and Chrome. It is the biggest map in the pool. It has 16 bases, and it is perhaps harder to kill your opponent on this map than it is on Eternal Empire, and that's saying something. It really is saying something. Because Eternal Empire is, again, that's just one of those maps that is impossible to kill on, right? Just because of how easy the full 3 bases are. And sure, 3 bases are maybe not as easy to get here because of how wide open this is. But the 3rd base itself is pretty defensible. There are a bunch of chokes, and the map is just big. So what you'll see players do is they'll just go expand away from their opponent all the time, and that's all they have to do. So even if the push is killing them, it's not really. So now we do have we do have the most annoying thing that XY can possibly done here is he's just going to put a bunker now behind the mineral line and prevent any sort of mining whatsoever as the Reaper's now moving across the map. But there's an Adept on the way as well. Adept, because of how big this map is, will not get there in time to cancel the command center. But he will be able to get it will maybe be able to get something done. Actually, we do have 2 Reapers now, so XY taking full advantage of the fact that, well, he has a bunker here. It's going to be hard to get something done. As more probes are now going down, and the Stalker's really forced to go to the low ground and high ground, which of course gives the probe tower, gives the SCV opportunity to go and repair this. So this is just really annoying here. Of course, the Adept really not getting a whole lot done. Just going to shell away at this supply depot. It might eventually force a repair, but I doubt it. And now once again, we have the Reapers going to the main, going to get back into the natural, and eventually, of course, they're going to be told to go away. With the shield battery, with the 2 Stalkers, they will eventually get shoot off, but for right now, Cloudy's getting no benefit whatsoever to this bunker. And actually, SCV's going to pop out, going to try to repair, and going to be able to get out now that this is going to be a suicide mission for the Reapers. They're going to try to get as many probe kills as they can, and they're going to get a good scout too. They see the chrono on the Templar Archives. That tells them more than anything else. It is most likely Blink. And XY, well, he's going to say, you know what? 2 bunkers. 2 bunkers are the way we play this. As I feel like I've done enough damage, and I just want to make it so I just have a 0 opportunity to die. And, of course, Cloudy, well, he's not even going to go aggressive here. The Robo is... I don't know if he forgot the Robo or just that was a result of him just not having the mineral income from his natural all that fast. But he is not going to have mining from that bait, or he's not going to have the Robo for a time being. The third gate is only just now going down. Actually, 2nd gate. So Cloudy says, you know what? I'm going to try to just sandbag this disadvantage into an advantage by sitting here and just trying to take a decently early 3rd base. Now, it's not the earliest possible because the Reaper screwed that up, but getting all these bunkers early does throw a wrench in XY's build order. I mean, just a little. It's only, what, a grand total invested of 225 minerals? Something like that, because one bunker was successfully salvaged. So one thing I do like about this game, for Cloudy here, he's starting his forge a whole lot faster. And actually, good reactions here on the Stalker. This Liberator's not going to get a whole lot done. 2 probes, better than nothing, but still not great. But of course, the big story of this game is XY. No, that's not the story of this game. As we say, well, XY is relatively even on worker supply, but that's not really true for all that much longer. The third base is now done. It was done at a decent time, so that is absolutely fine here for Cloudy. And of course, XY will go in for a couple more barracks. Wants to turn up the aggression just a little here. Although, of course, this is 3cc play, so it's not the most aggressive style of play. Here from XY. And okay, middle of the road, I guess. But now we do have a set of Blink Stalkers running across the map, trying to see what they can get done. I really hope we don't see Cloudy do what he did last game on this map, where he kind of blinked in onto a tank and just lost all his Stalkers without getting anything done. It's not, that's ill-advised, especially now with the we have 3 Chinese speakers in chat. Hopefully, or in the lobby. Hopefully, someone's going to be able to tell me what they just said. All right, so now the army of XY is going to go out and be able to clear out all these Stalkers. Sim's not done yet, but tanks are a thing. Okay. So it's nice having a couple people that speak the language that the players are bantering in, as Cloudy is a little, seems to be a little tilted at the moment. Nice defend. You're so great. A little tongue-in-cheek there, as XY was able to get the observer right as Cloudy wanted to blink in. So inauspicious timing there for Cloudy as he tries to move, as he tries to do things. But this is a lot of Jesus Christ! This is a lot of tanks. 6 tanks to move across the map. We don't even have medevacs on the field yet. And this is just a absolutely massive push here. And I don't. Okay, there we go. The medevac's now on the way, and I don't think that Cloudy's going to be able to hold this. Storm is 8 seconds from done now, and with the massive marine count, maybe that is going to be enough. Actually, this full SCV pull, and this is like the days of yore, where if you get storm done ahead of time, you make the hold. But now the army hemorrhaging units before the hold even happens, and these tanks sieging up. Well, that is just a lot of zealots dying, and sure, the SCVs are not going to be able to do a whole hell of a lot here against storms. That's true. But against the tanks, though, it's going to be difficult for anything to get into position here. As now we have XY, who wants to take a position between the natural and the third base here of Cloudy. Cloudy determined to not let him have it, and actually really setting up a nice concave. But XY now on the slow push. Start to see him leapfrogging tanks in a second. Really just trying to fish out the storms, fish out everything else from this Protoss army. But he's not going to be able to do so quite yet, but he can get on top of this Robo. First, I guess that's third storm, really not going to hit all that well. And now there are no more Immortals on the way. Shield Batter is getting shelled down. Third base under serious threat. Actually, I'd like to see more of XY's army moving down onto that third base. And the question is, will Cloudy be able to get enough to break this, to forge the advantage he needs to get in a game 5? And here we go. Now we have Cloudy moving in from the left, moving from the right. Can he break out? Can he move this to game number 7? It does not look like it. XY just has too much. And with that, it looks like Cloudy has been broken. The third base will be broken. Cloudy now on 14 army supply, and the immortal words of Todd, look at the supply, and Cloudy now coming to terms with his eventual defeat in this game number 8. And XY now poised to take the victory. $70 in his pocket. And maybe a legion more of Western fans, or at least maybe 20 of you that have maybe not seen XY play that much more. So now we have XY moving into the main base, trying to clear up the last vestiges of this Protoss army that is determined to not die. But that army that is determined to not die it shall. It is the 300, but unfortunately, this is not Thermopylae, and their brave sacrifice will not save the Golden Armada.
As the question now is whether Cloudy will come to terms with the status of this game. I really just feel like a fantasy GG timing at this point. Tank's really set on that high ground, low ground position. A couple more. Oh, okay, those are CVs. Then we do have the shield battery overcharge is actually a fairly nice move. It's able to keep a lot of these things alive, but Tank Burst doesn't care about your healing. And there we have it, GG. XY, the favorite, undoubtedly. But XY takes this series. He wins. He's $70 richer, and Cloudy really made him work for it. 5-3, took us to 8 games. That was exciting. I had a good time. I hope everyone else had a wonderful whatever time it is for you. I hope you're not all being as crazy as I am and staying up until 4 in the morning to watch/talk about StarCraft. Don't do what I do, folks. Sleep schedules are important. Do as I say, not as I do. Actually, do as I do, because that means you're watching me, and that means I get people watching my channel. That's a fun time. Anyway, that's it for me. XY took the series 5-3. Really an excellent series. We saw late game macro. We saw early game Protoss all-ins. We saw SCV pulls beating Storm. So all this fun stuff. And at the end of the day, XY did prove to be the better player. Now, as for me, I will be casting at 9 p.m. Eastern this evening, the Exxon Cup, on this channel. I have secured funding. It will not be on the Twitch channel. It will be on Trovo. So follow my Twitter if you want to see where I'm casting. I unfortunately, it can't just sit on one channel, which is rather unfortunate. But anyway, we'll be on Trovo. It will be weekly. I think it's probably going to be on Saturday nights. We're tentatively calling it the Beowulf Battlegrounds. It's going to have about $70 prize pool every other week. And I'm excited. I can't wait to see what kind of players we're going to be able to get for that. And I believe that's going to be Saturday evenings. And other than that, I kind of cast wherever. So, I post on different Discords, and follow me on Twitter, I guess. With that being said, it is 3:43 in the morning. I should really go to sleep. So thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, night, whatever the case may be, and stay safe out there. Have a good one.